Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going in depth into my week number 10 quarterback and tight end rankings for the 2022 fantasy football season. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at notoriousFNTSY. We're going to give you guys a quick word for our friends or sponsor over at DraftKings a little bit later. And I'd also like to ask that if you have any questions about week number 10, that you ask down below in the comment section. I love you guys all so much. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let's get into it. We begin with quarterbacks 1 through 8, headlined by Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home in Kansas City. Currently on the season, Mahomes is the quarterback number 2 and has only finished outside of the top 10 of the quarterback position twice thus far this season. This matchup up against the Jacksonville Jaguars on paper does look really good. The Jaguars defense has been pretty up and down this season, and the Kansas City Chiefs offense has looked really solid all season long. I think up against the Jaguars, it should be no surprise if Mahomes finishes as the QB1 on the week. At number 2, we have Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Washington Commanders at home in Philly on Monday Night Football. Now, the Commanders defense typically, at least as of the last couple of years, gets better around halfway through the season, and the defense definitely looks better right now than it did to start off the season, but ultimately the firepower of the Philadelphia Eagles is going to be too much for the Washington Commanders. I love Jalen Hurts in this matchup, currently the quarterback number 5 on the season. Him and Patrick Mahomes were the two guys that were considering to be the number 1 quarterback on the week. So Hurts is number 2, Mahomes is number 1. If you want to flip-flop them, I'm not going to argue with you on that. I love both of them this week. At number 3, we have Justin Fields, quarterback of the Chicago Bears, going up against the Detroit Lions. Now, if someone told me going into the season that at any point during the year, I would have Justin Fields ranked inside of the top 3 quarterbacks in any given week, I would have said that you are fucking crazy. But Justin Fields has done it. He's quarterback 7 on the season. In his last 3 games, he's been quarterback 5, and 1 last week. The Detroit Lions are one of, if not the worst defense in the NFL. Justin Fields absolutely ate the Miami Dolphins defense up for breakfast, fucking lunch, dinner, and dessert. This man went 17 of 28 for 123 passing yards. And if that wasn't enough, the man had 15 rushes for 178 rushing yards and 4 fucking touchdowns with no interceptions, 43 fantasy points. And the Dolphins defense isn't complete ass. Imagine what he's going to do this week up against a garbage can Detroit Lions defense. At number 4, we have my guy Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins going up against the Cleveland Browns. Back-to-back games inside the top 5 for Tua, quarterback number 12 on the season, and that is with missing multiple games. The Browns defense has been pretty hit or miss thus far this season. They were on bye last week, so their last game was up against the Bengals, a division rival, in which they ultimately just destroyed and shut down Joe Shiesty and any bit of offense that the Bengals had. So a huge round of applause for them. But I think the Dolphins' weapons, the firepower that they have, is going to be too strong. I think Myles Garrett is not going to stand a chance up against Armstead, and I ultimately feel as though Tua Tagovailoa has yet another top 5 quarterback performance. At number 5, we have Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, going up against the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. This game is projected to be cold as fuck. It's hard nipple weather out there in Green Bay. 28 degrees Fahrenheit. As of right now is what the projection is. Obviously, it might be like 35 or something, but still, gonna be cold as fuck in Green Bay. As per usual, though. Dak was on bye last week, so his most recent game was week 8 up against the Bears, where he was quarterback number 4. The Packers defense is severely banged up, as is their offense. If the Packers defense was 100%, I'd be a little bit worried about Dak here, but with them being banged up and Dak kind of on a nice little hot streak ever since coming back, I feel confident in him in this spot. At number 6, we have the short king, Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals, going up against the LA Rams. Now, Kyler Murray is reported to, yesterday, they said Kyler Murray hamstring to be a game time decision. The game is at 4:25. Personally, I think Kyler's going to play. I think Kyler's going to be impacted by this injury. So if you said, Nick, I have Brady and Murray, I'd rather play Murray. I have Geno, or I'd rather play Brady. I have Geno Smith and Murray, I'd rather play Geno. Then I'm not going to argue with you, because it is entirely possible that Kyler does not suit up on Sunday. But my best bet is that he ends up playing. He's been pretty solid recently. Week 7, quarterback 10. Week 8, quarterback 3. Week 9, quarterback 8. He hasn't necessarily been that top 3 quarterback that you might have wanted where you drafted him. Currently quarterback 6 on the season. If he plays, I think he has a decent game. At number 7, we have old man Tampa Bay Tom Brady of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Seattle Seahawks in Munich, Germany. Tom Brady will be the first ever player quarterback to win a football game in 4 different countries. He's won in London. He's won in the United States, of course. He's won in Mexico. This one will be the Germany win. That would be amazing to see. Tom Brady already has so many records. Why not get another one? You know what I'm saying? Tom Brady and this Buccaneers offense has been, as one would describe, as no bueno. He's quarterback 13 on the season, but that doesn't really tell the tale of how bad he's been or mediocre. To start off the season, week 1, so he went quarterback 26, 28, 20. Then you're like, oh, here it comes. Quarterback 4, quarterback 7. And then back down, quarterback 16, 21, 19, 14. I love the matchup up against the Seattle Seahawks defense, but the thing is, Tom Brady just has not been very effective. So while I want to rank him higher because I like the matchup up against the Seahawks defense, I don't know how much higher I could go with him because he's only finished inside of the top 8 twice on the season in 9 games because they haven't even had their bye yet. They're going on their bye next week after the Seattle game. At number 8, we have the other player in this game, the other quarterback, because there's a million other players in this game. Geno Smith, quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Munich last week. Quarterback number 5, currently the quarterback number 8 on the season. Geno Smith has been the opposite of Tom Brady. Tom Brady has been an unmitigated fucking disaster, a complete and utter disgrace, whereas Geno Smith has came from out of nowhere. Like an RKO from Randy Orton. The matchup isn't the best up against the Bucs because the defense looks good, but ultimately, Geno is a start-worthy quarterback. At number 9, we have Justin Herbert, the pervert, quarterback of the LA Chargers, going up against the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco on Sunday Night Football. Last week, Justin Herbert, the pervert, up against a soft-ass Atlanta Falcons defense, quarterback 18, currently the quarterback number 14 on the season. But Nick, he's banged up. I know he's been banged up with that rib injury. But this week, up against the 49ers, I feel like they're going to have to throw the ball a shit ton in this game. The 49ers offense is scary. Their defense is also just as scary, if not even more scary. But at the end of the day, Justin Herbert's going to have to throw the ball so many times that I think he ends up finishing as a top 10 quarterback on the week. At number 10, we got Josh Allen, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. Now, right now on Friday, it seems really up in the air if Josh Allen's going to play. He was limited on Friday, questionable for Sunday. Who knows? Who knows? Now, again, I've talked about this all week. If I'm the Buffalo Bills, I'm sitting his ass on the bench because what matters is winning playoff games. And you don't win the fucking Super Bowl with Case Keenum under center. You win with Josh Allen. So just put him on the bench for a couple weeks. Is what it is. You're going to make the playoffs. Case Keenum might even win this game. He might win the next couple of games, right? They play the Vikings, then the Browns, then the Lions. He could win all 3 of those fucking games, so just sit him down. I don't know if that's what they're going to do. If Josh Allen does play, he will be playing banged up, so that's why he's quarterback number 10. At number 11, we have Jimmy Garoppolo, I said Jimmy Garoppolo twice. Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy Pornstar, Jimmy G-String, Jimmy Goo-Up. Quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers going up against the LA Chargers. Jimmy Garoppolo is the most average quarterback I've ever seen play in the NFL. While his looks are superb, his quarterback play is as average as it gets. Over his last 4 games, quarterback 14, 9, 9, and 9. Pretty good. Pretty good. So he's going up against the Chargers defense. That is not the best. Probably going to be a top 12 guy. It's hard to see Jimmy going absolutely insane in the membrane and being a top 5 quarterback, but it's pretty easy to see him finishing inside the top 12 on the week. Before we move on into the rest of the quarterbacks and the tight ends, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our sponsor over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Been on the screen this whole entire time. If you're a brand new user to DraftKings Sportsbook, you bet $5. $5. That's all it takes on any sport pregame money line, and your bet wins. You'll receive $200 in free bets. So since your bet has to win, I want to go with college football personally. Because college football has not necessarily more guaranteed wins, because nothing's guaranteed, right? Either of these teams that I can give you could potentially lose, but I love both of these teams. Tennessee versus Missouri, money line. Michigan versus Nebraska, Michigan, money line. Take either one of those. You bet $5 on that, and if it wins, you'll receive $200 in free bets on DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, you have to be a new user. You got to click on the link in the video description or in the pinned comment to activate that offer. Make sure you take advantage of it right now before it is too late. At number 12, we have Derek Carr of the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Indianapolis Colts and Jeff Saturday. Last week, despite a collapse, worse than Humpty Dumpty falling off of the fucking wall, quarterback 9 last week, despite coming out flat in the second half. Him and Devontae Adams went fucking insane in the first half, and then after that, looking like Snorlax, taking a nap. Ultimately, though, the Colts defense doesn't concern me. What concerns me is that the Raiders are so fucking inept that even though this matchup's a wet dream, it's an amazing matchup. Derek Carr, not looking the best. At number 13, we have Danny Dimes, Danny Fumbles, Danny Stumbles, Daniel Jones, quarterback of the New York Football Giants, going up against the Houston Texans at home at MetLife. Last time out, up against Seattle in an incredibly positive matchup, he was only the quarterback 25. Currently the quarterback 17 on the season. But while I dog on the Seattle defense, they've actually looked a lot better, whereas the Houston Texans are bottom of the barrel. They're awful. They're like the dog shit that gets stuck to your shoe, basically. That's how bad the Houston Texans defense is. They're terrible against the run. They're league worst against the run. Daniel Jones can run the ball. He's ran for 100 yards once this season, ran multiple times for over 60 yards. I like this spot up against the Texans for Danny Dimes, even though his weapons are bad. It's like going to war with a fucking Nerf gun. At number 14, we got Mr. You Like That, Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings, going up against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Back-to-back games inside the top 12 at the quarterback position. Quarterback number 11. We just talked about how Jimmy Garoppolo is the definition of mid. He's just average. Kirk Cousins is the definition of an inkling above average. He's always going to be a top 16 quarterback. Is he ever going to take you to the promised land as like quarterback 3, quarterback 5? He's been quarterback 5 once this year up against the Chi-Town Bears. A little bit different here up against the Bills. Definitely a tougher match defensively. But ultimately, he's going to be a guy you throw in your lineup. You're never like, ah, shit, I started Kirk Cousins. But you're also never going to be like, yeah, you like that, I started Kirk Cousins, right? You're never going to win because of Kirk Cousins, but more than likely you're not going to lose if you start him. At number 15, we have Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions going up against the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Jared Goff did at one point in the season, it seemed like, oop, the Goffinator is going to be very valuable for fantasy. Now, he hasn't been like a dumpster fire. He's quarterback 16. He's been pretty decent. He's just decent. He's going to be anywhere from, I'd say, quarterback 18 to 10 in this spot, and you'll be fine with that. The biggest downside about Goff is that once they get in the goal line, they're just running. Once they get in the red zone, they run a million times with either Jamal Williams or DeAndre Swift. So Jared Goff isn't given a lot of opportunities to throw tugs closer to the end zone. Closing out the top 16, we have Trevor Lawrence, touchdown Jesus of the Jacksonville Jaguars, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. The Chiefs are going to be down in this game. They are going to have to throw into the game, a lot like what I talked about with Justin Herbert the pervert. Same case here with Trevor Lawrence. The question is, will he be able to keep up? We've seen greatness out of Trevor Lawrence. We've seen him be a top 5 quarterback twice this season. We've also seen him be quarterback 30. He's currently quarterback 10. He doesn't have much rushing upside. I think this is an interesting spot for him. I think he deserves top 16 praise. But again, he's pretty high risk, high reward when it comes to Trevor Lawrence. Now we move to quarterback 17, through 24, beginning with Aaron Rodgers, Mr. Discount Double Check, despite the game being a absolute fucking disaster last week for Rodgers up against the Lions. He was still quarterback number 13. This week he gets the Dallas Cowboys. The matchup definitely isn't ideal. It's not making my mouth water. His weapons are fucking injured. But I think the Cowboys are going to put up a lot of points, so Rodgers is going to have to try to crawl back into the game, ultimately finishing as a decent quarterback on the week. Next up, we got Russell Wilson of the Denver Broncos going up against the Les Titans in Tennessee. Mr. Unlimited has had one good game this year and then 2 average games, and then the rest are just absolutely terrible. Week 1 against Seattle was all right. Week 4 up against Las Vegas, he was quarterback 3. He looked really good. Week 6 against the Chargers looked pretty quarterback 15. Last time out, quarterback 21 in London. The Titans defense isn't very scary, but what scares me is the fact that Russell Wilson doesn't look good. So again, while going into the year, I was all in favor of, oh my God, the AFC South. Oh, not the AFC South. The AFC West is amazing. It's going to be so high scoring. Everyone probably thought that, and now it's a disaster. But hey, Russell Wilson, there's worse starts than him. But there's 17 better ones. At number 20, or number 19, we got Mr. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, the Ginger Ninja. Probably going to finish around quarterback 20 to 16. Pretty fucking boring. The Steelers get TJ Watt back. Defense looks way better with TJ Watt. Think this is going to be a really low-scoring game. I don't know why Andy Dalton is still the starter. Like, against the Ravens, at least Jameis Winston, the famous Jameis, would have done something. I don't know. I guess, that's why I'm not an NFL head coach. At number 20, we have Taylor Heineke. Love Taylor Heineke. Hate the matchup. Taylor Heineke, quarterback 13, 8, and 15 through the 3 games he started after Carson Wentz got hurt. But the Eagles' defense might be the best defense in the NFL. So sorry, Taylor. This is a bad spot for you. And by bad spot, I mean this is a really bad spot for Taylor Heineke at 21. Can you do something for me? We got Matthew Stafford of the LA Rams, concussion questionable for week 10. Don't think he's going to play. If he does play, this is his ranking. Cardinals defense isn't very good. Matthew Stafford isn't very good either. That's how we get to quarterback 21. 22, Jacoby Brissett going up against the Dolphins, a revenge game. Quarterback 10, last time out up against the Bengals. Dolphins defense is banged up, but as a Dolphins fan, the Dolphins defense plays incredible at home, and when they're away, they shit the bed. We get games at home, like against the Patriots, against the Steelers, where the defense is pretty locked down, against the Vikings. And then when we're away, our defense gets fucking bent over a table and clapped relentlessly with no lube. But here, we're home. I like the Dolphins' chances against Jacoby, but it is a revenge game, and he's been pretty solid all season. Number 23, we got Case Keenum. If he has to play for Josh Allen, I think he has a decent game. Another revenge game spot. I'd feel uncomfortable ranking him much higher than this, but I do really see the upside because the Vikings defense isn't really the best. 24, we got Kenny Pickett. Been pretty okay all season. Quarterback 18, 19, 25, 17, 27. The Saints defense isn't all that great, but again, I project this to be lower scoring, so it's impossible to move Kenny Pickett any higher up than he is. If you guys have ended up enjoying thus far, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that like button. It would help me out a ton. Now we pivot to the tight end position, headlined by, you guessed it, Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. Tight end number 1 on the season currently. You know why you rank him so high? Because he's so great. At number 2, we got Dallas Goedert, tight end 1 last week, up against the Texans in Houston, up against the Commanders this week. Again, this isn't the most positive matchup, not the worst, though. Goddard continues to be a solid piece in this offense. He's looked really good after the catch. Got to keep ranking him highly. He's probably never going to have a really down game. It's unlikely that he's the tight end 1 this week, but to be honest with you, when you're ranking tight ends, there aren't that many great ones. It's like after Travis Kelce, it's kind of just a smorgasbord, but these top 8 guys are definitely way better than the rest. At number 3, we have George Kittle Timbers of the San Francisco 49ers going up against the LA Chargers. When he came back off the injury, he was absolutely terrible. Tight end 23, 37, 22. But then after that, he's been on fire NBA Jam style. Tight end 7, 1, and 5. Going into the bye week, this week he gets the crippled Chargers defense. I like George Kittle in the spot. At number 4, we have Zach Ertz, tight end of the Arizona Cardinals, going up against the LA Rams in LA. Currently the tight end number 3 on the season in half PPR. Another one of those guys, just like Dallas Goedert, where you play him every week. You're not really expecting the craziest game ever, but you play him every week. You rank him inside the top 5 because he's a skilled player. If Kyler doesn't play, you got to move Zach Ertz down the rankings. At number 5, we have TJ Hawkinson, now of the Minnesota Vikings. So weird that he's not in the Lions anymore. Going up against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Last week, I was hesitant to start TJ Hawkinson because it was like, oh, he just got traded. He's playing. It's not like he's a running back. He's a receiver. He's got to learn all these routes. He's not going to do much. 9 targets, 9 receptions, 70 yards, 12 fantasy points, tight end 7. The matchup against the Bills isn't the most ideal, but it's pretty clear there's a reason why the Vikings traded for this man. It's because they want to use the tight end. At number 6, we have Pat Freiermuth of the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the New Orleans Saints. Now, despite the fact that there's been a lot of ups and downs on this Steelers offense, there's been Kiss and Titty Trubisky, there's been Kenny Pickett, but there's been one strong player here, and that's Pat Freiermuth, seeing a shit ton of targets every single game. 9 targets week 7, week 8, 7 targets. Targets mean a lot at the tight end position. Not all tight ends are going to see 7, 8, 9 targets a game. Pat Freiermuth could definitely this week up against the Saints. At number 7, we have Greg Dulcich, since being activated by the Denver Broncos, tight end 9, 12, and 8. Huge round of applause for Mr. Dulcich. Up against the Titans, I like this spot. He keeps seeing some solid volume. He only has 1 touchdown on the season, and he's still been finishing inside the top 12 every single week, which is very promising for me. I know Mr. Unlimited has been pretty bad, but Greg Dulcich has been really good despite that. At number 8, we have Dalton Schultz. Since Dak came back, tight end 16 and 9, I think with Dak being back and Dalton Schultz being more healthy, that we could end up seeing Dalton Schultz make a redemption for his absolutely dick cheese start to the season. The issue is if you drafted Dalton Schultz early, your team might not have ended up making the big dance, the playoffs, because Schultz has fucked you. He's currently tight end number 33. Next up, we move to tight ends 9 through 16. I would say tight ends 9 through 12, I feel kind of confident in, but after that, you know, it gets gross. It gets a little grimy down there. Tight end 9, Gerald Everett of the LA Chargers going up against the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. Mike Williams is hurt. Keenan Allen is hurt. Who else are you going to throw the ball to? The answer is Joshua Palmer. The answer is Austin Eckler. And it is Gerald Everett. Now, last week with the injuries, he was only the tight end 16, but his upside is super high, even up against a tough 49ers squad. At number 10, we have Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is either going to be tight end 40 or tight end 10 plus. That's just how I read things. Tight end 6 on the season. Last week against the Ravens, he saw no volume, tight end 43. But we've seen him be the tight end number 1, scoring 34 points up against the Seattle Seahawks. So the upside's always there. I don't love playing him, but if you gotta, he's still a top 10 guy in my rankings. At number 11, we have Eazy-E Evan Ingram. After a pretty hot stretch from week 5 through 8, week 5 against the Texans, tight end 8, then tight end 20, 9, and 4. Last week up against the Raiders, he was tight end number 40. But one down game doesn't really make me panic. Again, they're going to have to be throwing a shit ton in this matchup up against the Chiefs, thus giving Evan Ingram a solid boost in my mind. At tight end number 12, we have Cole Kmet, back-to-back weeks inside of the top 12 at the tight end position. Now he faces, again, one of the worst, if not the worst defenses in the National Football League. The Detroit Lions defense is 2-ply, Charmin, ultra soft. Cole Kmet should be in for a very solid performance after being tight end number 2 last week. At number 13, we have Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee started off the season. He was just an insta start. Wasn't amazing, but he was seeing a lot of volume. But after weeks 1 through 5, everything has went downhill. His world got flipped upside down like he was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Tight end 50, 34, and 54, seeing a drastic downward spiral of targets. And if Matthew Stafford doesn't play, No bueno for Tyler Higbee. At number 14, we have Mike Licky Amagasicki of the Miami Dolphins. Now, early on in the season, the Dolphins were like, oh, Mike, pal, you got to block. If you can't block, you're not getting on the field. And then they kind of just gave up on that. They're like, okay, Cedric Wilson isn't working out. We kind of need a number 3 weapon. We need this red zone target for Tua Tagovailoa. Let's throw Mike Gesicki out there. If Gesicki doesn't score a touchdown, he's probably a bust. But he has the upside to score multiple touchdowns up against the Browns. So that's why he gets his ranking inside the top 16. Very sad that David Njoku isn't playing this game because I was very excited for him. At number 15, we have Robert Tonyan, Big Bob Tonyan of the Green Bay Packers going up against the Dallas Cowboys. He's been down astronomical over the last 3 weeks, tight end 21, 22, and 21. Can you do something for me? Made that joke twice. Shout out to Drake and 21 Savage. But the Packers, they're really hurt. They're hurting. So they got to throw the ball to someone. Tight end 16, Cade Otton of the Bucks going up against the Seattle Seahawks. Great game out of Otton last week up against the Rams. Tight end number 4 on the week in half PPR. Tom Brady doesn't really love to use tight ends as much when they're not named Rob Gronkowski, but still the matchup's good against Seattle. So he's tight end 16. Now we move to where it's just bad. It's like the Titanic when it's flipped over, not flipped over, but it's like flipped up on its side, horizontal. It's bad. No bueno. No bueno for the Titanic. Noah Fant up against the Bucks. Gino loves tight ends, but they have 2. That's the analysis on Fant. Tight end 6 last week. Could easily be a top 5 tight end this week, but he might end up being tight end 45, tight end 41, because, they still have Will Dissly, and they have DK Metcalf, and they have Tyler Lockett. They have a lot of options for Gino to throw the rock to. Kind of sucks. Number 18, Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox, man. What a disaster this guy has been. He gets paid all the big bucks. I talk him up all offseason, and he kicks me directly in the cock. Tight end 22 last week, up against the worst defense against the tight end in the NFL, the Jets. Sucks. I don't think Josh Allen's going to play, so I'm really worried about Knox. Number 19, we got Jawan Johnson of the Saints. If he scores a touchdown, he's going to be good. Tight end 8 last week, scored a touchdown. Hate the matchup against the Steelers. Number 20, Will Dissly. Same thing with Noah Fant. Has top 5 upside. Also has the downside of being tight end number 40 and scoring like 1 point. Tight end number 21, Foster Moreau of the Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Indianapolis Colts. Darren Waller typically went out in prior seasons. We've seen Foster Moreau really light up like a fucking Christmas tree. But this year, tight end 23, 21, 26. I get why we have him ranked here. I get why the matchup's good, but I just don't think he's very good. Number 22, Logan Thomas, up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Good player, hasn't been good this year, has the skill set, but he's playing the Eagles defense. That's why he's tight end 22. I know when we get back here, the analysis isn't necessarily some super in-depth shit, but once you get down here, it's real mucky. Tight end 23, Brevin Jordan, BJ, Gawk Gawk, as we call him. No one calls him that. Yeah, he's playing the Giants. Davis Mills throws to the tight end. Problem is, they have a lot of them. Mo Alley Cox. Mo Money Mo Cox. Going up against the Las Vegas Raiders in Viva Las Vegas. Questionable for week 10. One of the other tight ends, Jelani Woods, out for the team. Gives me more chances to like Mo Alley Cox. This man has done his big game once this year. Typically has 2 big games. Might be this week up against a poor Las Vegas Raiders defense. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you ended up enjoying, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below as well as hitting that like button. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at notoriousFNTSY. Make sure you check out DraftKings. Link in the video description. I love you guys all so much. Have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, goodbye.
Thank you.